Representative Wonderland Gavan, great event with Mars Day and the Time. Took us back. Of course, the city of Birmingham. County Commissioner Sheila Tyson, she did a great job in having a conversation on Wednesday about health and wealth. Health and wealth, those two things are connected. And some of the disparities we have in our community affect both. Having poor wealth contributes to poor health. And so we have to be concerned about the health and wealth of our community. So great event for the Classic. Can't wait to next year, but we don't need to let the conversation die down because it's important that we support and promote our business enterprises every day. Every day. I mentioned on this broadcast before that about $100 billion gets spent every year in this Birmingham marketplace. $100 billion. Black people make up over 25% of the citizens in that same marketplace where $100 billion is spent annually. And by the most generous estimates, that 25% of the population, the businesses represented by 25% of the population, do about 1% or less. That's a generous estimate. That means that all of us have to do better. Corporate community has to do better. Our businesses have to do better. And those of us who want to help small businesses, we have to do better. Let me mention this. The Birmingham Business Resource Center, my organization, we've got money to lend you. We have just put together a loan fund. We're going to be doing some additional micro lending. This is not COVID related, so you don't have to come in. It's not PPP and it's not COVID related, but we do have a few $100,000 that we want to focus on helping businesses that need microfinance. Now, if you need a $50,000 loan, that's not who we are. And if you need one, come see us anyway, because we may be able to help you package that and get that to another company, another bank. We developed really strong and strategic relationships with a number of banks in our community, and not just with the banks, but also with the bankers, because I've always thought that it's important that we know the bankers, people inside of banks who can and will, well, first of all, who have influence and who can and will use that influence on our behalf are important. It's important to know who those folks are. We've made it our business to know who those people are. And so, and we don't mind sharing that information with you. And we certainly don't mind being an advocate for you and your business, just to make sure that if you have an opportunity to access some capital, that you do that. So I've been on 3 calls today, 2 with a local bank, just really listening to their products and services and really bringing some business people into the fold to get them involved with banks. We have to get involved with banks. And I'd say that to small businesses. I also say that to our nonprofit organizations. All of our banks have a mandate. It's called the Community Reinvestment Act. And the Community Reinvestment Act is a law. It's a law, and it requires banks to meet the credit needs of their communities. Now, they do that in a way that is safe and sound. They're not going to do anything wild and crazy and jeopardize their stockholders' money or jeopardize themselves as an ongoing enterprise. But they do have an obligation. Well, we have an obligation as people who care about the community, in this case, the small business community or the African American community or the low and moderate income community. We have an obligation to make sure that we give these banks more opportunities to do more stuff with us. And the only way we do that is we show up. We show up with our proposals. We show up with our applications. We got to show up, and we got to show up correctly. And that's one of the things that we can help you, whether you're a nonprofit organization looking to tap into some CRA dollars, and I use that term kind of loosely, but looking to partner with banks, as they deliver on CRA, or whether you're a business owner who's just looking to build a relationship and perhaps access capital with a bank. If you show up with us, we'll go with you. We won't just send you. We'll go with you. We'll be your advocate. We'll try to make sure that it happens for you. And so while I'm saying that, I do want to remind you all that we need to know who you are. One of the ways to make sure we know who you are as a business owner is that you put your information in one of the small business databases, directories. We have a directory on our A.G. Gaston Business Institute website. That's gastonbusinessinstitute.com/business directory. You can put your information in. You can send us an email if you need some help. Info at aggaston at well, don't let me screw that up. Info at bbrc.biz. Info at bbrc.biz, and we'll be sure to reach out to you and make sure that you get that. I want to just shift gears just a couple of times. So I've been working out today. Hey, I wanted to I don't know how many of you work out. I work out. I try to stay in pretty good shape. And so today I did a couple of miles, run, walk on a treadmill. And then I did this video. And if you want to check it out, this is a pretty hard workout. It's called Mr. and Mrs. They got a whole series of cardio, upper body, lower body, full body, HIIT. But I did one and it wore me out. So I may be sitting here like trying to catch my breath. But anyway, it's a pretty tough workout. I like doing it. I really would recommend all of us. And it's too, I guess it's too late in the year for 2021 and maybe too early for 2022 to do what we call these New Year's resolutions, where you say you're going to lose weight or you say you're going to do something. And then you wait till next year at this time and say, oh man, I better get on it. Well, I forget about the resolution part. I just think that we all ought to, or a New Year's resolution, I think we all ought to resolve to try to live better. And living better and being more healthy does require that we remain active. So if you're able, everybody isn't able, but if you're able, I want you to remain active. I think that's very important. My dad lived to be 89, and up until the time that he really got sick, which was like maybe the last 2 or 3 years of his life, he stayed active, went to the Y just about every day, did exercise. So I think we kind of got that from him. But I just want to encourage all of you to try to stay as active as possible, and feel good until you finish doing it. Then you're a little winded, like I am right now. But I want to just shift gears and congratulate the Atlanta Braves for winning the World Series. Great victory. I think it's the first time. Well, I know it's the first time that they won the series since 1991, I believe. And so it's long overdue for Atlanta. Now, I'm a Dodger fan. I was a Dodger fan all my life coming up. And so, Atlanta, you beat the Dodgers, but you held up for the National League. So we're happy about that. Big football weekend, Miles and Tuskegee. Wow, I think I'm going to go up there and root on my Golden Tigers. Maybe we can pull one out. Maybe we can upset Miles. And, that is something that really, when I say that, that's a little almost oxymoronic because, up until the last decade or so, it would have been an upset if Miles had beat Tuskegee. Don't get mad at me, Miles people, because I'm giving you some credit. But now, if Tuskegee beats Miles, it's an upset. So maybe we can go up there and upset them. I'm going to be up there. But anyway, it's always a good time. And hey, trust me, my hat's off to Coach Ruffin and the Miles football team and all the folks associated with Miles. It's great to have Miles in our community, in our city. And I heard the mayor say something. Miles is actually technically in Fairfield, but I think everybody in Birmingham has embraced them. And so you are a Birmingham school, but Fairfield, don't get jealous. We're going to claim them for Birmingham. So anyway, get a chance, come up there and check out the game. It's really good. And then you got Bama and LSU. Darlene, I know you're on the feed. LSU and Bama. Well, it's always a good game. That's one of those that sometimes you can just throw out the record book because you really don't know how that game is going to come out. So I want to say one thing a little more serious before I get out of here today. Now, I was just thinking as we see even some of the political rhetoric, go Tigers. Okay, I got you. When you listen to some of the political rhetoric from some of our folks that sit on the other side of the aisle. Well, I wanted to do two things. I want to say this: that first of all, we have got to be willing to listen to opposing points of view. I don't care who you are and how right or righteous you think you are, and how wrong and even evil you think other people are. Listen to them, hear them. It's important. Number one, until you know what the other folks are really thinking, you don't really know how to combat it, how to counteract it. So it's always important in any kind of strategy that you know as much about your opponent as possible. In football, you do scouting and you watch film and you make sure you know what. And so it's very important that if you have someone that you oppose, you must understand them. And the way to understand them is to hear them and listen to them. So I think it's very important. Now, also important is understanding this, that everybody is not going to think like you, agree with you, or like what you say and do. And be okay with that. Be okay with not having everybody, every time you say something, say, oh, yeah, he's right. Because you can say, I'm wrong. I'm going to think what I think. I'm probably going to do what I want to do. But I want you to hear me out. And what I promise to do is to give you the same respect. I'm going to hear you out. I'm going to hear what you think. But we do have a problem with racism. We continue to have a problem with racism, and racism continues to show up even more now than any time over the past probably 40 years, maybe even longer. And one of the problems, and I want to say this before I get out. Hey, Kimberly, how you doing? But one of the problems we have in combating racism, is that the racists are not ashamed of their racism anymore. The over the top and overt racists, they're out with it, and they're bringing people along to their way of thinking. It used to be. Now, now it's not just the Confederate flag, because you still see more of them, and you see them on the back of trucks, and they've gotten bigger and bigger. If you ride down Interstate 65, you see a giant one, and that's okay. I mean, I understand what I think it stands for, and I don't care what they say they think it stands for. I'm going to go on my beliefs. But the racists now have been given a license to display their racism, to not try to hide it. And so we have to be aware of that. But we also have to still know that for all of these overt racists, there are a lot of covert ones too. And the covert ones are perhaps more dangerous, because they're the ones that might sit in Congress or in a state legislature or on a city council or on a police force. They're the ones that may sit in a C-suite of a corporation or on a corporate board. And so we've got to fight it. But the problem with racism now is that there is a license to be racist. And those of us who want to fight racism have to know that we have to take up that cross, if you will, each and every day, do whatever we can to point it out and root it out. Point it out and root it out. Hey, I hope you have a great week. Hope you've already had a great half of the week. Happy hump day, which is almost over. Have a great rest of your week and a great weekend. I'll see you next week. This is Bob Dickerson within the Black.